How are you doing on your New Year's goals? Right? New Year's resolutions, what is it about them? We make them, we love them, and we put them on next year's resolution list too. That's what I do. I feel like so often I will make these lofty goals and I don't always get around to finishing them. Most of the time it's because I have set goals that are too unrealistic or too many goals. So today we're going to be talking about how to set goals better, but how to get back on track with the goals that we've set. So get ready, we're going to go through 5 tips on how to get back on track with your New Year's goals. Okay, here's the question of the day. Do you set New Year's resolutions? I'm totally curious. If you do, you have to tell me below what it is. But today we're going to talk about how to get back on track with our New Year's goals. Because lots of us make goals, lots of us make resolutions, and then lots of us tend to not get past January with them. So I figure we are more than halfway through January, so it's a good time to check in and just kind of do some fine tuning. So a little known fact about me is that I used to work in the fitness industry. My degree is actually in sports medicine. So I used to work as an exercise physiologist. I worked out of hospital-based facilities, and we always saw this huge influx of people every January. January was packed and it was crazy and it was crowded and it was busy, but everyone that worked there, we all knew by February, it's going to slow down and get back to normal. By March, it was definitely normal because most people have this new, renewed inspiration to tackle getting healthy in the new year. And then they kind of give up part of the way through. And I wanted to talk today a little bit about some tips on how to get back on track. And it doesn't have to be health goals. It can be any kind of goals. What are your goals? So let me just run through these really quick, and I hope they're gonna bless you and get you back on track. I'm actually a little bit of a goal setting, habit forming nerd. I love researching ways to set goals, researching ways to keep goals and set routines and things like that. So I wanted to share a few things that I've learned through the years about goal setting and keeping to it. It's one thing to make a list of goals, it's another thing to actually accomplish them or to make it further in them than you ever have before. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. So let me start with number 1. Are you ready? Tip number 1, reevaluate your goals. Sounds silly, but you're at a stage now where many of us have written down like 20 things. How long is your list? You need to tell me down below. How many things do you have on your list of goals for this year? Well, if you're like most people, you have a long list. Most of us create this big list, but you're far enough into it now that you're starting to see what your priorities are. So my number 1 tip is to reevaluate. Is this really a priority for you? Is it realistic? Do you have time for it? So I want you to reevaluate it. Take a look at your priorities in your life and see if it's something that you really do want to accomplish. If getting healthy or losing those last 10 pounds is really important to you, that's great. But you know, if you just have 10 pounds to lose, are there other things that are more productive for you to be working on? And hey, I'm a health buff. I love that. But it might not be something you need to be focusing your energy on right now. Maybe you push that goal off until June and start focusing on something like that in June. But you need to really reevaluate and see what you're going to attack first and what your priorities are. And what I always share with people, whether it's a homeschool family or not, you have got to know your why. So you need to write down your reasons why, your priorities, and that will help you to accomplish that goal. So that is number 2. Number 2 is know your why. So when you know your why, it's going to help you to stay in touch and in tune with what your goals are. It's going to help you understand what is your priority. So know your why. Write out your why, and here's a tip. If you can find verses to back up your whys, then you should totally check it out. I have a verse next to all of my goals that I set, and that really helps me to evaluate why it's important. What is it that I'm trying to accomplish? And you know, that driving force that's going to motivate me to keep moving on. So for each and every goal, you're going to want to write out your goals, write out your why and find a verse that correlates with it. Doesn't matter what it is, find a verse, Google it, search it, check your apps. I love the YouVersion app. It is a great way to cross-reference and to look at different things, but it's a fun way to also do some search engine things. And Bible Gateway is another great app and website to do some searches for things like that. But number one, you're gonna figure out, reevaluate your goals next to your priorities. Number two is that you're gonna evaluate your why. So number three is going to be pick 5. So out of your big list, you're going to narrow down your very top 5 things that you wanna focus on. All the other ones are still really good and they're great to get to eventually, but you're gonna prioritize what order you're gonna do things in. So pick 5, your 5 things you wanna focus on. And here's the thing, I am a multitasker, but I have found that life does not really lend itself to multitasking. And what I really found was that when I'm trying to juggle too many goals at the same time, nothing gets done. At least nothing gets done well. So when you pick fewer things, it really helps you to focus in on those things. So pick 5, and out of those 5, you're going to pick one thing to really focus in on and that you really want to accomplish. Like out of all the goals, what's your top pick for what you want to tackle this year? So the key thing to remember right here, this is like a little bonus thing, is that don't throw in the towel just because you're not accomplishing everything perfectly right at first. I'm actually listening to Jon Acuff's book called Finish, and that's one of his great tips. It's all about letting go of that perfectionism. There's something like we've never accomplished something before, and yet we feel this need to be perfect when we first attempt it. And the first sign of perfection, we give up. So I want to encourage you, well, A, get the book, it's really fabulous, but also just know, let go of perfection. And that is definitely that's something I speak on all the time, is especially as a mom. I have 5 kids. I have to learn to let go of perfection. I just can't, I can't do it. So, I've got little princesses around the house that love to sing, Let It Go. So I try to remind myself to let go of that need for perfection. I lost my light. Did you see that? Midway through my sentence, light on, light off. That's what I get for not charging my light. Maybe that should be my goal. Make sure I've charged things before I jump on here. Okay, so tip 4 is really important. So you've broken things down to 5 and you know which one thing you're going to take a look at first. Now you can attack all 5 with this next tip or just that one thing. You have got to break it down into steps. Putting down to get healthy is a great goal, but what does that mean? Are you at a stage where you need to lose weight? Maybe, maybe not. Do you need to move more? Maybe, maybe not. Do you need to eat better? Do you need to drop something out of your schedule? Do you need to stop smoking, stop drinking soda? There's so many things that contribute to our health. Do we want to just start taking vitamins more frequently? You want to break that down. What does it look like? Now, please, don't say that I'm going to lose 100 pounds, run a marathon, compete in the Ironman, and become the next Miss America. No, I'm kidding, but you don't want to be too big and vague in your goals. You want to start small, so really break it down. Maybe running a mile is a good goal, but you want to break it down. Drinking water, hydrating. I actually worked with a nutritionist for a while, and one of his top goals before anything else, he talked to me about how to better hydrate. And it's so important. In fact, that was one thing that I really enjoyed. So if you don't already know this about me, I have a podcast called the Simply Joyful Podcast. And I just recently had Kat Lee on, and she wrote a book called Hello Mornings. And she has 3 easy steps to have a better morning routine. But one of those, when she has a 3-minute thing, and for her get moving step, it's just to drink a glass of water. So sometimes if we just start simple, we will accomplish so much more. So that's what I want to encourage you to do. Break it down into action steps. You can put dates there if you want. Actually, one of Jon Acuff's tips that I really thought was smart is to either cut your goal in half or to double the time that you're allowing yourself to get things done. Now, I do think that it's helpful to give yourself a goal date, especially if you've got like a high school reunion or something like that, or like a trip. Like if I'm going to Hawaii, I'm gonna start planning to like get back in shape, get more confident to wear a bathing suit around the place that we're going. I'm gonna do that a few months in advance. So I'm gonna have a goal date for that particular goal, but maybe I'm just gonna try to lose half the weight by the time we get there. I'm gonna give myself some grace. So where he's saying to cut back, sometimes don't set a date. Sometimes just take one step at a time and just keep going, and you'll see results that way. But a lot of times we just have to give ourselves grace and pick ourselves. If we mess up, pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and keep moving, move forward. But that is really important, to set action steps. So if you're just looking at that one, focus in on that one goal and create action steps. What are you gonna do first? What goals are you going to really try to achieve? So you have your one big goal, or maybe it's a small goal, but to write down the action steps that you know need to take place in order to accomplish it. Okay. The most important thing in getting back on track with your New Year's resolutions or your goals is to keep going. Get up and do it again, and do it again, and do it again. If you mess up, doesn't matter. Stand up again and repeat. Do it again. You can just focus and do it. And just the more we avoid throwing in the towel, the more likely we are to accomplish our goals. So don't give up. Keep going and repeat it. Now, here's my secret sauce. Are you ready? When you are goal setting, you've set those action steps. So let's say that one of your goals is to spend time with the Lord in the morning. So you want to have a quiet time in the morning. Well, it's not that you're going to throw in the towel because you haven't spent time in the Word for 3 days. No, you need to figure out what is going wrong with the plan of attack that you've created. So sometimes, when you have small children in the house, it doesn't allow you that flexibility to get up, especially if you have a newborn. If you have a newborn, please don't try to get up at 5 a.m. to have a quiet time or a Bible study. Not good planning. But you want to figure out a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, however many plans you have, but have a backup plan. So if you're trying to accomplish, let's say even if it's a workout or a walk or a run or whatever it is that you're trying to do, if you're trying to plan it in the morning, also take a look at what other times of the day, if that doesn't work out, could I accomplish it? So that's my secret sauce, is to come up with backup plans for how to attack it. So as you're writing out those step-by-step goals, you also want to make sure you have a backup plan, and it will really help. So I hope this has been helpful for you. Those are my 5 little tips with a little interim tip and a little secret sauce tip in there too. So kind of 7 tips. But I am really passionate about this. Part of the Simply Joyful podcast is I have a membership group. And if you're curious about that, you can go over to christyklover.com/membership. I actually just released a bonus episode all on how to set better goals. Sometimes we set really strange goals and it makes it really hard to accomplish. But this kind of goes along with that as well. So I hope that between this and that, you've got what you need to set good goals and accomplish them. But I hope you'll check that out. I hope you will join me over on my website, which is christyklover.com. Find me also at simplyjoyfulpodcast.com. It's all in the same place, but I would love to have you listen in and be encouraged on the podcast. I actually give away a free copy of my book, Sanity Savers for Moms, and you can get that by going to christyklover.com. It's all in the notes below, so go ahead and check that out. Make sure that you are subscribed here to YouTube and are following me here so that you get notifications. I've got some fun plans over here on YouTube. And here's a great example of goal setting. I have some really neat things planned for my YouTube channel, and I've been sick for a month. I don't know if you can hear it. I keep pausing. So those little breaks, it's because I'm coughing. So I had a chest cold for 3 weeks. We had the stomach flu and we were getting over it. But I wanted to make sure to jump on here and talk through some goal setting tips with you. Again, hope it has blessed you. Hope we are connecting, and you guys have a great 2018, and we will talk to you soon. Number 3 is going to be something wonderful.